Hello and welcome to Journeys in Transformation Analytics. I'm Amaresh Tripathy. I'm the analytics leader at Genpact, and I have Kiran Mysore, who's the former vice president of operational analytics and insights at Medtronic, joining me to talk about a really fun, interesting topic. Kiran, welcome.
Thanks, Amrish.
We'll continue and kind of wrap up our conversation of the series on this economics of decision making and is most focused on the cost of insights. And we did talk about kind of the four levers that drive the cost and how do you and Kiran, you had some amazing ideas around how to manage that kind of the whole levers and how do you manage what do you do for each of these levers to manage the cost a little bit more appropriately. And in our research, one of the things we found is if you kind of manage the things right and in an appropriate way, there's pretty much like 30 to 50% opportunity just from an efficiency perspective. And then obviously there's not only an efficiency play, the bigger value is obviously the effectiveness, because the shorter time to market, as we talked about in the last episode, is even more important. But what we want to talk about today is kind of, you're an analytics leader, how do you get started, right? How do you activate on managing this whole journey? And we kind of we found out four levers, like as we kind of in our study that like a lot of the leading organizations focus on. Like the four are like kind of opening up a transformation office or setting up a analytics transformation office, getting started on the cloud strategy on the data analytics front. There's a whole data as a service initiative, as we talked about. And then finally, how do you manage the organizing the analytics community, because not every it's normally a hub and spoke model. There are analytics folks everywhere in the organization. And Kiran, we did talk about the cloud and we talked about the data as a service a little bit. Just want to, from your experience, analytics transformation office and organizing the community, talk to us a little bit more about how you have gone about doing that.
Sure, Amrish. So firstly, I think the notion of a transformation office is really important, right? In the overall cadence of building great insights for the company. I think of a transformation office as a navigator for your analytics vessel, right? It charts the direction, the North Star. And we have seen many benefits, not only in terms of how we build solutions, but also how we're mindful of the cost in building these solutions. So the analytics transformation office helps you really think about the investments you're making in the data, in the ingestion, the management, and ultimately the presentation and usage of it. But it also tells you the quality of the decisions being made and how effective is the monies that you're putting in being used in the best way possible. So the transformation office is key. It really helps you manage a portfolio of capabilities, and those capabilities ultimately tell you, are these the right areas to focus on? Are there certain ones you would deprioritize because maybe they don't quite provide you as much value? So that's one aspect of the transformation office. The other one, Amresh, you talked a little bit about is the notion of a centralized community, right? So I believe that having a data community is really important in an organization, because the cost of actually managing a team that does data analytics can be very high. But if you can incubate a set of stakeholders in the company who live and breathe data, right? Who can share ideas, who can post best practices using tools like Yammer, I think you've got a winner there, because these folks can actually help solve and even self-service many of the questions that come up along the way, which can be very expensive if you have a dedicated team. So I believe in programs like data as a second language, which is essentially a capability that you incubate within the organization to raise the data literacy of an organization. Those type of programs are huge. And the other one is, ultimately, if you can drive this effort in a formal way, have a training program in place to train people on the appropriate use and interpretation of data, you can ultimately reduce cost of an organization using data.
Got it. So two specific questions. One on the transformation office. Actually, today morning I was with a client and they talked about the notion of transformation office. They liked it, and one of his themes was, is it like a lot of new headcount? Is it like kind of like one of the governing bodies? So how did you do that? How did you set up the transformation effort?
So again, I think when people think about a new entity or a capability, the natural question is, oh my gosh, it's going to cost me more money, right? But the reality is a lot of the components of an analytics office are already in place today in your organization, right? You probably have some level of a project management office or a portfolio management office that is driving investments, that is measuring what type of investments are being made, and then is the conduit between the business and IT in terms of structuring those investments. So I think you already have a starting point. The key is to provision them with a focus of analytics, with a focus of portfolio management, and with a focus of cost to be able to drive the most value out of those investments. So I think the way to get started is look for people that are already there, that are doing this sort of work, and charter them with an analytics framework, and charter them with a mandate that you're going to go measure the value that is being derived out of the decisions that are being made.
Got it. So it's not a lot like a big thick organization. It's kind of a thin layer and more orchestration of using the thin layer.
Exactly.
And one final topic on one question on the analytics community, and I mean, again, a lot of data literacy programs get started. How do you keep up the excitement of the organization around it?
So it's a really interesting point, right? Because when you sort of create this community, there are many different emotions that sort of come to play. So there is one emotion of being proud to show off your great capability, right, that you have just built. People really want to talk about their achievements, accomplishments, and share and help. So that is certainly one you want to play off of in the organizational psyche, if you will. The other one to think about is when great best practices get shared, having business stakeholders come and talk about the value that these decisions help them make, help them either change the organization's mindset. I think having those success stories is really important. One of the things we did is to create a newsletter that showcased some of these accomplishments, and we regularly shared that with leadership in staff meetings, in presentations, and in company websites. And so having that outreach there and evangelism out there really helped make the case that there's something really good at work here, right? And I want to be part of this. And how do I sign up? So
wonderful. No, pride always works. So
yes,
Kiran, thank you so much for coming and sharing and just doing the whole series. I know for folks who are kind of picking up this one, that you can probably go back and listen to from the beginning of the series here. But lot of great insights from Kiran. And some fantastic discussion points. Kiran, thank you so much again.
Thanks, Amaresh, for having me.